Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories.
Hello again.
Why do I say that like in a little kid's voice? I have got to stop that.
I don't know.
It's like I don't know how to do Perky, so it just turns into me.
Like mustard?
Mustard. Anyway, I'm Dhani.
And I'm John.
And
this is
welcome to Watching My Stories.
Yes.
I already said that. See, so I should, you know what we should do?
Write something down?
They don't need to hear this.
No, let's give them insight. What should we do? This may be the most entertaining part.
I just think maybe the introduction, like I'm Dhani, I'm John, and this is Watching My Stories instead of Welcome to Watching My Stories first.
That's okay. Subtle, but yes. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm so sorry, people. My microphone sounds really muted. No?
No.
It sounds muted to me.
Sounds good.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe
We've never done this before.
Wow.
So.
This is like episode 39 or something. We should know this by now. Okay. Hi, everyone. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a few movies to talk about this week, a couple TV things, and then last week in our corner, I don't even know because we called it the Oscar corner last week, I think we blew our wad a little too early because we did the best picture. We went through the best pictures and we ranked those are the ones we love and like, and etc.
Uh-huh.
And the Oscars are actually tomorrow. And so we were looking at each other going, well, what do we do this week? But John, you had the idea. Why don't we just go ahead and keep it the Actors Corner and do Meryl Streep because she's such a celebrated Oscar contender.
Yeah, she's a fixture at the Oscars,
right.
Even though she's not nominated this year.
Right. But I think, so that's what we did.
Hey.
So
I'm sure she'll still show up, and she may still win.
Best audience member.
Something, they'll give her something.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So in our Actors Corner at the end of the show, we will be reviewing, talking about her movies.
And Susan Lucci will be in the corner going, Meryl.
Yeah.
No? Oh, no.
It's a little like dated or something. I don't know. Okay. First movie I saw this week is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was really excited because I actually wanted to see it when it first came out, and so now just seeing it, I was really excited about it, and it was really cool. It was just,
okay.
It was, yeah.
Give me a 30-second synopsis.
Well, I'm not doing this in 30 seconds, but I am going to give you a synopsis. So, the point of this movie was the Spider-Verse, and in the comic book universe, there are several different iterations of Spider-Man. So there are different dimensions, or not even, they're just different worlds, right? So comic books will do a new Earth or a new universe, and in that universe, maybe the Hulk is the She-Hulk, or maybe, there's Batwoman instead of Batman who's living in Gotham and fighting. So there's all those different iterations. So this Spider-Verse took all of these Spider-Men that are in the comic books and brought them into one dimension in this movie. And it was actually pretty cool. So first off, all the animation was flat animation. So it looked like it was comic book animation. And that was really fun to watch. So we start with Peter Parker, right? That's the Spider-Man that we all know and love. Chris Pine voiced that Peter Parker. And we he kind of does his intro. I'm Peter Parker. I was bit by a spider, blah, blah, blah. I've been fighting crime for 15 years, all this stuff. Then we're introduced to this kid, Miles Morales, who's going to the same school. I believe it was the same school that Peter Parker went to when he was a kid. And he's this young black kid, and he also ends up getting bit by a spider. And all of a sudden he has the sticky hands and, all these things that he's now freaking out about because now he's become another Spider-Man. Peter Parker in this dimension dies. And so, at the time he says to Miles Morales, you've got to do this. He gives him this little flash drive. He says, here's what's happening. Kingpin's going to destroy the world and you've got to save everyone now because you've got now the Spidey senses and stuff. then we flash to another dimension and we're introduced to Peter B. Parker. This is Jake Johnson voicing this one. And same thing, kind of the same, he starts out, I'm Spider-Man, I've been doing this. And it turns out that this Spider-Man, though, has been divorced from his wife. I don't even remember, was she Gwen or was she Mary Jane that he was married to? Anyway, he's divorced. He's kind of like put on this weight. And he kind of lives in this little 1-bedroom apartment, like this divorced dude, and he's, down on his luck or whatever. But anyway, he gets sucked out of his dimension and into the same dimension as Miles Morales.
Okay, so he's a very Jake Johnson Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the same thing then happens. They end up going, trying to work together. Miles is like, you need to train me as Spider-Man. And he's like, this schlubby whatever. He's wearing sweatpants over his Spider-Man suit because he's put on weight and stuff. And then they end up going to see Aunt May, who again isn't this Peter Parker's Aunt May, but she still exists. And Lily Tomlin is voicing her. And she takes him into the other Peter Parker's who's died, into his like kind of his workshop. What do you call it? Whatever they call it. And there are other Spider-Mans who have also come into this Spider-Verse. So we see Spider-Ham, which is the Spider-Pig. John Mulaney voices Spider-Ham, and he's done in his own little animation. Spider-Man Noir is Nicolas Cage, and Spider-Man Noir is a black and white comic, so he is all in black and white, which is also pretty cool. There's Penny Parker, who is like a Japanese anime girl, and she controls a robot that has the spider, the radioactive spider that controls that, and so she controls this robot. So that's another person from the Spider-Verse. And then finally there's Spider-Woman, who is Gwen Stacy. So in another dimension, Gwen Stacy is the one who gets bit, and Peter Parker is her best friend. And so all these, so that's basically it, right? We're going into the Spider-Verse. So you're seeing all of these different Spider-Mans in there, and they all come together to defeat this villain in this movie. And it's just really cool because it's really following the story of this kid, Miles Morales, and because it's his dimension that we're actually staying in. And so his family and his kind of, being thrust into having these powers, and what is he going to do with them and all of that. But it was just really cool. It was just a very fun animation because, like I said, they shoot it, and even every once in a while a bar will come up saying, what it is he's thinking, just like you're reading a frame from a comic book and stuff. And so it was just very fun, and really liked it, and great cast. I mean, everyone that was in it was really good, and Haley Stanfield plays the Gwen Stacy, the Spider-Woman, and Mahershala Ali is in it. He plays an uncle of Miles Morales' uncle. So it was just really good people, really well put together, and it was fun to kind of just have all of these people in one place and see them do what they do, and how they all kind of interacted or made fun of people, or there's a lot of jokes about the Spider-Pig and all their different abilities, and how they all have different strengths, and also how they all lost someone and how that projects. We all know that when Uncle Ben is killed, that's Peter Parker's kind of, it propels him to really take on the Spider-Man persona and do good. They all have also lost their own things, and we kind of see their stories and stuff. So it's just really cool. I hope they do more of this because it was really cool, and okay. I really liked it. I liked everyone that was in it, and it worked really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long a movie was it?
Oh, it couldn't have been more than an hour and a half.
Okay.
I honestly don't even know, but it flew by.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm giving it 4.5. I really, really liked it.
Wow.
Yeah, I really liked it. And it is nominated tomorrow for Best Animated Movie. And in my opinion, I loved it. I really did.
See, when I first saw the trailer for that, I was like, I don't think so. But now listening to you, I actually kind of think I might want to give it a chance.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I mean,
okay.
If anyone likes... Look, I didn't know all of these different... Like, I didn't know Penny Parker... And I actually didn't know Spider-Man Noir. So I didn't know all of these different universe Spider-Mans that are out there.
And I didn't know until last night when we talked about it that Spider-Pig was a real thing. Right. I thought it was just something Homer Simpson made up.
Spider-Ham, yeah. But yeah, it's so even if you, here's what I'd say. If you're just a watcher of all the Marvel movies and you just enjoy them, you'll enjoy this.
Okay.
For real. I would think, and I know for certain that comic book fans were just crazy about this movie.
Did they give Stan Lee animated
Yes,
cameo?
he's actually in it, and his voice is in it. So
really?
He was able to get in that
good.
before he died. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was really cool.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. He's animated and, yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so 4.5 stars, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Definitely check it out.
All right, I'm adding it to my list.
Okay, good. The next one I watched is kind of a real right turn. It's called Ben is Back.
Yeah, that's... Yep. Slightly different.
Yeah, this was Julia Roberts and Lucas Hedges. This was really a really tough movie. And it took, because of the way they end it, I sat for quite a while, like the credits were over, and I didn't even realize it because I was still crying so hard that I just couldn't. I just couldn't.
I mean, I know you like those movies.
I do, and this
Jesus.
one is so good. So you have to make comparisons at this point because of Beautiful Boy and that movie that just came out that I had talked about with Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet. That film was a look at the family unit when the child is in the throes of addiction. So it was a horrible look at, the kid just kind of spiraling out of control and how much the parent wants to help, and then you have to take a stand and say, I can't help you anymore, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That was a very difficult movie to watch as well. It was very well done and heart-wrenching and tragic. Mm-hmm. This one is Lucas Hedges plays Julia Roberts' son, and it's Christmas Eve, and he comes home from rehab unannounced. And so this is a kid who is a little over 3 months sober, coming home, and so it's a different phase that we're looking at. And it's also really difficult as well because the family didn't know he was coming home. The mother, of course, is thrilled to have her child home, right? And yet the other kid or her husband they're very hesitant. At the same time, Julia Roberts, she still goes around the house, collects all the pills, collects all the jewelry, collects anything that maybe he's going to take. And so we start to get those little nuggets of information of what the family's been through already. Right. Which is just, again, I watched, I would say 90% of this movie with tears in my eyes. They might not have always been falling out, but I was always tearing up through almost the entire movie because watching this mother, go through what you imagine they've already gone through. Right. And you should be thrilled that he's home for just a visit, for Christmas. But you can't really, because he probably should just stay in rehab, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so in this 24-hour period that we see these people, we do find out different things that he's done. There's a friend that did overdose. We find out that by him, he goes to a meeting. So she makes a deal with him and says, you can stay home for the day, but you won't leave my sight. I'm going to give you a drug test. I'm going to sleep on the floor next to you in bed. Like, you're not getting out of my sight type thing. Mm-hmm. Well, in doing so, she also ends up finding out things that she didn't know. And it's this horrible, like, I had this just imagining what a parent goes through, which you already, like, you have a child who's addicted. That's terrifying. You that's horrible. We find out that he overdosed at one point and she was the one who found him on the stairs and the dog was like licking him, trying to keep him alive and that sort of thing. And so again, you already have this image that she's been through it, right?
Yeah.
But then someone breaks into their house while they're at church and steals the dog, and he flips out, and he knows this is someone who's after him, someone who has a beef against him and what he was doing before, right? So he says, I'm going to have to go and try and find whoever it was and find the dog. And she insists on going with him. So in this journey where he admits to her, it could be a lot of people, and in this journey, she has to face, and he's being completely open with her, but she has to face some of really horrible things that he did that, of course, she had no clue about, because you aren't there. But all of a sudden, it's in her face as they're going to these houses and visiting certain things and places and people. And it's horrible. It's just this horrible thing. But then the whole point of the movie is truly about her and the unwillingness to give up, because he keeps saying it. Just leave me here. I'm not worth it. Just leave me. I'll take care of it. I'll get the dog. Just leave. He's constantly saying that to her, and her unwillingness to give up on him, even at the very end when she finally has, because at some point he leaves and separates himself from her. And she does at one point. She's like, I'm just going to come home. She's talking to her husband, and I'm just going to come home. And even then she can't. She pulls a U-turn and has to just keep going and keep looking. She's out all night looking for him. And it's just, I'm tearing up right now, because it is that just amazing, ability to love a child that unconditionally, that when you've been put in such horrible positions of facing the fact that your child is dying or killing themselves, or however you look at it, but understanding addiction, trying to figure out, and this whole time the kid is struggling, of course. I mean, look, Lucas Hedges, so the first time we saw him was in Manchester by the Sea. That was the first time I really saw him. I think he was in some other little things. He's so fantastic in this. It's a different portrayal than Timothée Chalamet, because he was portraying actually being in it and being on drugs and all of that. So Lucas was portraying this amazing level of guilt and shame, and just having to come home and face it is he was amazing at watching him do that. But Julia Roberts, my God, just there are moments where she's just driving and seeing a million different things going across her brain of, starting to cry, and then starting to get angry, and then starting to get worried. And, it was really an amazing performance. And going into this weekend of Oscars, I'm actually now, I'm pretty upset that she wasn't recognized for this. Not necessarily knowing if she should have won, but I definitely think she should have been nominated for some stuff for this.
Sounds like it.
She was really amazing. I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's one of the most. I mean, I was audibly sobbing out loud, kind of having words at the television of like trying to make what was happening not happen, like talking out loud, all that sort of stuff. And then, like I said, it just kind of ends, and you're left in this horrible state of emotion where I was just like, seriously, and I just had to cry it out.
Sounds like a good time.
Look, I understand that a lot of people don't like those type of movies. Obviously, I do, but not just because. It has to be good. And this was just one of those things of, luckily, something I've never had to deal with in my life, knock on wood. But, knowing that there are so many, knowing that this is the number one killer of young adults right now in this country is addiction. And they focus on opioid addiction in this. She actually runs into his doctor in the mall, and he's in dementia. He doesn't really remember anything, but she still sits down next to him and said, well, that's my kid. And when he was 14, he broke his leg and you prescribed him this medication. I asked you over and over again if it was addictive. You kept saying no, and you kept increasing his dosages, and you screwed up his life. And she says, I hope you die a horrible death. And, you know, you have to understand that in this country, this is a huge thing, and that there are lots of parents going through this right now. So it is just, it's gut wrenching. It really is. But it was really well done. And so Peter Hedges, which is Lucas's dad, he wrote and directed this. And he's done some of my favorite movies of all time. Dan in Real Life. He wrote, that's one of my favorite movies ever.
Okay.
He wrote About a Boy. He wrote The Odd Life of Timothy Green, that wonderful little movie with Jennifer Garner. So he knows how to kind of write this really understated emotion, even though it's usually just, you know.
I don't think it's understated.
I feel like Dan in Real Life is this very small little, and I don't cry with that. That's a happy movie.
Yeah, but the emotions for that one are still pretty out.
They are
right there.
but I love it.
Yeah, okay.
You know. So,
well, yeah, those. Yeah, for whatever reason, those are right up your alley.
Yeah, completely.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, so for me, you know, it's 4 stars. You want to be in the mood for it, and I'm warning you all that you need to be in the mood for it. But it's so good because they're really good, and the two of them together were just totally worth watching.
Sure, but you got to realize there are a lot of people in this world that are just never going to be in that.
And
mood.
I get that. If you aren't. You aren't, but you're missing out.
And this is a Netflix movie?
No, pay-per-view right now.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in theaters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Kind of moving on, but it's still a little it wasn't as well done. But this movie is now on the movie channels. I think it was on Showtime, and it's a small movie called A Kid Like Jake. And this was one again I wanted to see when it came out, but it was, you know, so small it kind of came and went. And this is Claire Danes and Jim Parsons are a married couple. Priyanka Chopra's in it. But anyway, they have their son Jake, who's got to be like 3 or 4, I think, because they're looking at preschools for him. And their son Jake loves to wear dresses and play princess and that sort of thing, you know.
Okay.
And it's not a big deal to them. They don't even really acknowledge it, to the point where Octavia Spencer runs a school and is Claire Danes' best friend, and she's helping her kind of fill out applications and stuff. And she starts to say to her, you know, maybe you should fill out how, you know, he's so creative. He doesn't have gender biases, you know, things that are, it was a very kind of veiled, like, you should be pointing out that your kid is trans type thing. And at first Claire Danes was like really surprised by it. Like, she didn't even understand that this was what her son was doing, which I loved, you know, that both of them, Jim Parsons and her, they both just kind of overlooked that this is how their kid behaves, you know, that sort of thing. But then as it starts to kind of become a thing where Claire Danes starts to realize that maybe it really is a thing. Like Jim Parsons says at one point, well, I was giving him a bath and he tucked. And she's like, yeah, boys do that, you know. And so it's like, it starts to become like, who wants to really support the son. Like, she never once says, I'm going to take away all his dolls and, you know, and dress him differently. Like, it never is that sort of thing. It was just, she doesn't think it needs to be a thing. You know, she doesn't think that anyone should be saying anything about it at this age. That she, like, at one point she says, when he tells me, then it'll be fine. But until then, I don't want to tell him, you know, and I kind of get that.
Well,
like,
it's commendable,
right?
But really tough.
And they don't have a lot of money, so they're trying to get into some of these private schools in New York City. And Octavia Spencer is kind of saying, if you put this on the application, they might be more willing to, you know, take you in, as well as you want to make sure you get into a school that's going to work with him.
That's going to understand
this,
it,
right?
Or at least, you know, understand what's happening.
Exactly. So the whole movie is more about the couple and their exploration during this. At the same time, we find out she had a miscarriage before. She gets pregnant again. She has another miscarriage, and how that kind of takes a toll on the couple. And at one point, they have a really big old fight, and it's a really wonderful fight. Like the thing I loved about this was from the very first frame in the movie when we're seeing them, they're a good couple. You know what I mean? Like they communicate really well. He's actually a therapist or a psychiatrist, something like that. And they communicate really well. So then when they get into this fight where she starts to kind of go off a little bit and she says to him stuff like, well, you've never thrown a ball with him and, that sort of stuff. He kind of comes back again, Jim Parsons. So he's kind of just calm, but very much says what he needs to say back. Like that was really disgusting for you to say that to me. And what about, you're the one who's home with them every day and you read him these fairy tale books and you play all these things with, and so they start to blame each other for these little things, but they pull themselves out just as fast too and communicate about it and stuff. So there's no real solution with Jake. We never see them get to any sort of solution other than they do get him to an interview and he's like in a tutu and they're swinging him down the sidewalk and they're happy with him. And but there's the cool thing about this movie was that there's never really that discussion. Like that doesn't matter. It was about how the parents were interpreting themselves about a child that maybe or may not, have any sort of differences.
Well, it sounds to me like the good news is there was never a conversation about how to change him.
Right. No.
It was, how do we move on?
Right.
How do we go forward with this being what it is?
Is it a thing? Do we make it a thing?
Right.
And, because maybe it's not. Maybe this is just how he likes to play right now, and you never know. So it was very, again, a little understated. It was a little long. I don't think it's anything I would watch again. But it was a nice kind of exploration into the subject for now, but nothing overly great. I'm giving it 3 stars just because they're all really good in it. But okay. So I'm glad I just caught it on Movie Channel instead of going and seeing it.
Instead of spending $12 on it.
Right. Okay, so that's it for movies. I'm going to move on to TV.
Oofta. Okay.
The only real thing I have to talk about is the docuseries that came on Amazon Prime last weekend, Lorena.
Oh, Jesus.
About Lorena Bobbitt. So it's a 4-episode series. Jordan Peele is the producer of this, and it was fantastic. It was so well done.
Sure.
It was so well done. And here's the thing. It's just like any of these kind of docuseries that are now revisiting things from the 90s, right? So whether it's OJ or who else am I thinking of? There's just been, it feels like we're
Tanya Harding and
we're re-examining things that happened maybe with a different spin or maybe getting more information to where we sit back and go, oh, you know what? That was all wrong or something.
Well, I have the benefit of having gotten your rundown on this previously.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, through the prism of, almost 2020 now, where, no pun intended, eyesight, the year 2020, where now we're seeing, we're much more aware collectively of women's point of view and women's issues and, all of that stuff. It really was apparent and obvious that she was always at a huge disadvantage in any court fight or any fight with the police or anything like that. She was always the one that was not listened to.
Right. Yeah. So the series opens up with, okay, so this was 1993, and let us remind you what the state was back then. And so they go through and talk about how, 91 was just the Clarence Thomas thing, and no one,
Yeah, Anita Hill was completely dismissed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That only within, I think, that year before had Congress even passed any sort of battery assault on women that Joe Biden had put through.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like, and in the clip, it was something. It was who was the Surgeon General back then with the beard?
Oh yeah, Coop.
Yeah, he was talking. He was giving a speech about how assault on women was increasing and how in this country we had animal protection laws in place for over 100 years, but we had no laws in place to protect women and that sort of thing. So we're put right back there, and we're reminded, like, hey, remember
remember women
we were
had
still
it pretty
second
shitty
class.
right then.
Yeah. And so they go through then, and Lorena's on it. She's there giving her interviews to camera. He is also there. I don't know why I feel like not saying his name. I just
You don't need to.
And so he's giving his lies still, and then there's everyone in between. So it's all
Wait a minute. I don't want to make you say his name. I don't want to make you.
Wayne Bobbitt.
His middle name was Wayne.
Yes.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, wait a minute. Wasn't it John Wayne Bobbitt?
Yeah. Idiot. But we find out, they both talk about their relationship,
That's
how they met, how they got married, and all the way up until the night and that it happened. And we see pictures, which was something I had never seen before. And then you kind of talk to they interview all the police that were involved that night. They were jerks because, of course, these men were only thinking of the man that this had happened to. And from the very beginning, they were putting out stories there. They had to go out and look for it. If people are actually listening who don't know what I'm talking about, I guess I should just... Lorena Bobbitt is the woman in 93 who sliced off John Wayne Bobbitt's, her husband's, penis with a kitchen knife at night and threw it out the window as she was driving later on.
I have never been able to not cringe when I hear that.
I should show you the pictures.
No.
I should show you the pictures.
No. We're good. I'm good.
I'll keep those pictures. Just in case. No, I'm kidding.
That may create a different problem.
Well, look, her defense was always that he was abusing her, that he beat her, that he raped her over and over again. Also, at the time, there were only like 4 states that even had marital rape laws. And Virginia kind of had a law at the time.
Well, there were a lot of people in the state that didn't recognize that such a thing could happen.
In most of the country, it was recognized that couldn't happen. And so their law at the time was very much like you had to prove it.
Yeah,
the woman had to prove it.
If you're married, it couldn't be rape.
Right. Ugh. That's what most people thought back then. So anyway, so her defense was always all of that. And so he was charged with... It wasn't marital rape, I don't think, but it was rape, and his case went to court first, but she was only allowed to talk about the 5 days around the night of the incident. So if she hadn't been raped within that time, then she couldn't talk about the systemic abuse that she had been under his whole time.
Yes, because of course it only builds up and releases after 5 days.
Right.
Your rage and stuff dissipates after 2 or 3 days. So.
Right. So anyway, so he wasn't found guilty, and then they had to go on to her case. And luckily, in her case, she was able to talk about her entire history. She had a lot of witnesses that all talked about bruises on her body that she told she was getting. She was getting abused. And
people who knew he was a dick.
His closest friends testified against him that he claimed that forceful sex was the only sex he liked. So there was not a lot of good around him. But, and you and I talked about this, back then, do you remember hearing about all of that?
No.
Like, I remember hearing that was her defense. And of course, I just believed her because, again, if this would be a common thing if it weren't someone who was under a lot of duress. So, it was... So anyway, so of course I always believe, and that they also talk about all of that, how all women were on her side and all men were on his, and how, again, how just divided it was back then because men, couldn't understand why that would happen.
I don't think all men, even back then, I was kind of, I remember having the distinct thought, geez, what did you do to deserve that? And
Right.
and you probably, and hearing, you know, what
Right.
she was saying, thinking you had it coming.
Right. But the media definitely did not want to portray her that way. And they did not talk about all of that. That was not what they were putting out first for her defense. They really vilified her. Also because she wasn't an American citizen. There was a whole ordeal with that everyone was against her for that. So she really had, you know, strike after strike after strike, this poor girl, because she was a very, you know, soft-spoken thing back then. So anyway, so it goes into all of that. It goes into a lot of details. It talks about obviously their lives afterwards, which, you know, John claimed that, sorry, I hate saying this name. Bobbitt claims that he was not drunk that night. All of the doctors are all certain he was completely wasted, because he actually laid in bed. Like, it happened and she took off. He laid in bed because he had no idea. He couldn't even feel it because he was so drunk. And his friend was sleeping on the couch. He got up to get his friend. He was like, hey, we got to go to the hospital or whatever. His friend got up and like brushed his teeth and took his time getting ready. Like, they were so wasted. They had no idea what was happening. And even now, his interviews today, he still says, oh, I had 2 beers and I had a B-52 and that's it. Like, I wasn't drunk. And so he's such a liar. Since then, we know he's done porn and he did all these other things, but he has been arrested multiple times for battery on whoever he happened to be dating. He actually went to prison for assaulting a woman that he was with.
Who would be with him? I mean,
well, he went to go work at the Bunny Ranch.
Okay.
And so all of Dennis Hoff is on, which RIP. He's on, and everyone from the Bunny Ranch, which did you ever watch that show? Yeah. So I knew all of them. And Air Force Amy's on, and she actually says one of the smartest things of the whole docuseries, which I was shocked because she always seems so stupid on that show. And I don't even remember what it was, but there was something she said that I was just like, yeah, go Air Force Amy. She's like that really old prostitute there. Anyway.
Okay.
So he worked there, and again, all of them talk about how what a jerk he was. They ended up like trying to not get him to be there. He wanted to always be with the women there. They weren't allowed to do that. There's just story after story against him, and yet whenever they come back to him in his interviews, he just keeps lying. Lorena pulls out letters. He's written Lorena letters and saying how they should get back together because they could make a lot of money, and especially if they could have kids and all this sort of stuff. They go to him and he goes, well, she reached out to me and she, you know, wanted this and that,
so
and all this
produce
sort of
a letter.
stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, you know, this woman, Lorena, she's like, I've never responded. You know, she's now happily married. She has children, you know. It's just, oof. I mean, you know, it's crazy when you watch it. It really is. It's so intriguing.
I bet her new husband doesn't talk back.
No. And I mean, in the way she talks about him, you know, he's a good person.
Well,
and,
I would hope so, because, you know, look, she
on.
deserves it. She's been through a lot. And
yeah,
to be with somebody who's been through that,
right?
You have to be a pretty good person. You have to be a pretty understanding and accommodating person.
Right.
There's going to be a lot to go through.
Yeah, anytime a
aftermath
woman's been abused, right. I mean, there's a lot of PTSD and all of that. Yeah. So it takes a while.
So good for her and good for him.
So anyway, it's on Amazon Prime. It's great. I mean, it was something that, of course, I was intrigued to watch. But man, like, kind of bringing you back and finding out so many details that I honestly do not remember. But again, I was in high school, so maybe I wasn't super paying attention to it. But still, it was, you know, it's really well done. It's a very well done docuseries, and I watch a lot of those, so I can say for sure it's really well done.
So, first or second degree of separation here. Isn't there a personal connection to her that you have, sort of, through the
I think
through the salon.
She at one point, and I think it was a while ago, probably 10 plus years ago, she worked at a salon. You know, we're from Virginia originally. Well, I'm from Virginia originally.
I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
but we met in
Virginia.
Yeah.
And so she still lives there and works in a bunch of salons, and she did work in a salon that one of my closest friends would go to. She never actually went to her, I believe, but she was there while Lorena was there working.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't think she works there anymore. I don't know where she works anymore. They obviously didn't give away where she's living and all of that, but
right.
Or where he is. I think he's been everywhere though. So
Who cares?
Who cares? I mean, on one hand, I was like, I can't believe you even have him on here, but it's also good to have him on there and lying straight to everyone's faces because it just, helps to ensure that people get that he's a liar.
Well, obviously enough people have not gotten it that he's been involved with.
I think now it's once he went to prison.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Now hopefully it's just a public service announcement that, hey, ladies, if you meet this guy,
oh my gosh.
Despite what he might say to you.
Oh my gosh.
His track record is proven to be pretty dismal.
Right.
So just don't. Just don't.
But go and watch Lorena on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so real quick, let's see if we can keep this under 5 minutes. I just wanted to touch on The Masked Singer one more time.
Okay.
Because we're down to the final coming up.
Yep.
So this last week, the lion and the rabbit were revealed, which we knew
who they were.
We knew. And last week's podcast, I said lion was Raymond Willis and the rabbit was Joey Fatone.
Mm-hmm.
So we are down to now the peacock, Donny Osmond, the bee, Gladys Knight, and the monster who is terrorizing me because I don't know who it is.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time this week, and I thought we'd just put it out there. You have your thought.
I had 2 guesses from week 1, and I've gone all over the place since, but I've arrived back at them. I think it's either Bobby Brown or MC Hammer.
Yeah, I think I'm on the Bobby Brown train.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I go through all the clues, which I went to YouTube, watched all the Monsters clues again, Bobby Brown definitely fits.
He fits the clues.
He fits the clues. I don't think he can sing that well.
You listen to the voice and it's like, can Bobby Brown really do that? Can MC Hammer really do that?
Did he ruin Whitney's voice and take it for his own?
Don't know, but yeah.
But when he talks about being vilified by the public, that's Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Bobby. But I don't know. So it's, it's going to be very interesting to find that out. I looked online. I went to Twitter to see what everyone else was thinking. And the overall response on there is T-Pain. And honestly, I don't know much about him at all, so I have no clue.
I vaguely remember the name, but I couldn't tell you a single thing.
He talks about being a ringtone. Now, you were going the you can't touch this MC Hammer thing, but also It's My Prerogative was one of those that people just, would play over and over again.
Sure.
So, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. And at this point, I don't know who's going to win. And we also talked about what's the winner, because is this a singing competition? So should the best singer win, or should the person that we can't figure out who it is win? Because Dhani, they have guessed Dhani in the past, and with Gladys Knight, they know it's Gladys Knight.
Robin Thicke knew it was Gladys Knight 4 weeks ago.
Right. So, the monster, it doesn't seem like anyone's really guessed, but who knows? But should that be the winner that no one guesses?
Yeah.
Or is it a singing competition?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of default to a singing competition. It's got the added gimmick of not knowing who the people are. But, I personally think Donny Osmond should win because I think he's the best singer there. Now, as we talked about, he and Gladys Knight are 2 completely different styles and genres,
right? But equally legends.
But equally,
they're legends.
They really are.
You can't put those 2 on a stage and say who's better than the other.
You can't say one's better than the other. Right?
They're legends.
No, I happen to think Donnie's a better performer. You
Well,
don't-
part of the problem is in the bee costume she can't see,
But
so that's
even-
why she has to stand there.
But even
and
on-
that's not entirely fair.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But even on stage, he does a
Yeah,
lot more.
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's a better performer. Now, it's not the masked performer, it's a masked singer.
Right.
So,
But the monster has a great voice too, whoever
yeah.
it is.
So, I said after
Yeah.
this week, that performance he gave, if he did beat those two, you could make an argument it was based on ability, singing ability.
Yeah.
That he's right there.
But it does come down to personal preference because I prefer a technical Broadway voice over an R&B voice.
And I prefer monsters.
Yes. So anyway, Masked Singer, I'm sure we'll talk about it. Well, we're not going to have a podcast next week, but in 2 weeks we will talk about the finale and see if we are close or who knows.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes when I listen to the accent when he's speaking, I'm like, I don't even recognize the accent entirely.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Are they
Yeah.
putting on the accent? I don't know.
Well, watch it be Ben Folds or something doing a weird
Oh,
accent
please.
or something.
Anyway, okay, so that's everything for this week.
Okay.
So like I said, we won't have a podcast next week, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. There'll be a lot to talk about then.
Real quick, I just want to mention one other thing.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, and odds are you have already seen it, we watched Crazy Rich Asians last night again.
Oh.
And I actually enjoyed it even more the second time. Just
It was like
so
my
good.
30th time, but
so
that's
good.
okay.
and just so irritated that it wasn't
Yeah, then it's
nominated.
not part of
It's
this
not
this
part
week.
of the Oscars.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't either because it is a perfect movie. You
It
cannot
is. It really is.
find anything to complain about.
So annoying.
Yeah, and I cry. I mean, literally, this had to have been my 30th time, and I still, the wedding gets me. And then when the mother, after they play mahjong, and she goes and gets her mom, and the mom looks back at Michelle Yeoh, I cry every single time.
Yeah.
Because that look of just, how dare you
Right.
treat my daughter the way you've treated her? I just, so yeah, I it's a feel good movie. That's why I've watched it so many times, because when I'm around at the house or there's nothing I feel like watching or nothing that everything's dark and you've heard the things I watch, I will put on Crazy Rich Asians and I'm in at my happy place.
And if I had lived in the early part of the century and passed away and had to come back as somebody right now, it would be Henry Golding.
Totally.
Oh, that dude,
Yeah.
man,
He's the best.
he's got
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
look, the
The voice. The
talent.
voice and accent is just like,
talent and the personality.
yeah. And he was just as good in A Simple Favor.
Yes.
Like, he's just good. Like
I hope we see a lot more of him.
Yeah.
And by all accounts,
he's been working nonstop.
by
Yeah.
all accounts, he's one of the nicer guys around. So that's
let's hope he stays that way.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's-
But yeah, definitely, everyone. I mean, I think when we did our 2018 year in review, that was at the top of our list.
Yeah.
So,
and well deserved.
yeah, when it comes on the movie channels, you can be guaranteed I'll be watching it at least
Probably
once
gonna
a
be
day.
burned into your screen,
Yeah.
which is fine.
That's
I get
fine.
it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to our Actors Corner for Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
Which-
and I keep thinking we've done her before, but I guess not.
No, we haven't.
Okay. Just see. I guess she's just so familiar
Right.
that she's always there.
Right.
No matter who you're doing, it's like
Yeah,
They've
she's
worked
been in
with her.
some of these before. Okay, so I was only able to get them down to about 2 or 3 each. So,
the first two I got down to 3 each.
okay. So
Yeah.
movies you love from Meryl Streep.
Julie and Julia,
Yep, that's on mine.
The Devil Wears Prada,
Okay.
and It's Complicated.
Okay.
You.
Julie and Julia,
Mm-hmm.
Doubt, which
Nope.
we have had that conversation before for Amy Adams, and The River Wild.
Oh yeah.
So Julie and Julia, we know, we've seen it a million times. We talked about it with the Amy Adams thing. It's just fantastic. Again, it's
really
just
is.
one of those fun movies.
Yeah.
And there are certain food items I have to watch, like the bruschetta and stuff at the beginning. Like it's just a
Yeah, if you want to live vicariously through somebody, watch Chris Messina eat her bruschetta. It's like, oh, that's good stuff.
right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have Devil Wears Prada anywhere on my list.
Yeah, I understand. And I think I like that. Now, she's in it, and she's a horrible person.
Right, but she's so good at it.
She's so good at it.
Yeah.
But obviously the movie focuses on the dynamic of Anne Hathaway and everybody around her. But, she's a big part of it, so I put it in there.
Yeah.
But I think I like it more for Anne Hathaway, honestly, than Meryl Streep.
So I have Doubt on here. That was a play. She plays a Catholic nun. She's so mean and so good. But again, it with her, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Amy Adams, it's a perfect trio. And I love it. I watch it as much as I can.
Look, I grew up in the 70s. I was born in 68. Grade school, Catholic grade school. And I'm here to tell you, having a nun for a teacher every year, she nailed it.
Yeah. It's set in Boston, so there's also that harshness there, but it brought back a lot for me.
Maybe that's why I don't like the movie.
Maybe. And then my other one, River Wild. Come on. Love her character, love David Strathairn, love Kevin Bacon, John C. Reilly.
Yep.
And there's so much about the movie, and it's one of those that I always say a good suspense movie is one that you can watch over and over again and you still hold your breath. And for me, River Wild, I still do that. I just love it.
And what occurred to me when I was making this list is pretty much if David Strathairn's in something, that movie's going to be on my list for somebody.
Right.
Because he's like a constant. Yeah. He's like one of the all-time best supporting actors.
Yes.
I
wish you had watched Alphas, and I wish that show had never been canceled. It's a good show.
Oh, I saw it a couple times, I think.
So good.
Or parts of it. I remember a show with him in it where, he was like the mastermind of a group of...
Yeah, they all had abilities.
Special, cases.
Okay, movies you like.
All right, Mamma Mia.
First one?
Yes.
Okay.
For Meryl Streep, it would have been unfair to say the second one. The River Wild.
Oh.
Yeah. It almost made it up to the top 3, but not quite. And then The Bridges of Madison County.
Mm.
Oh, shoot.
Strike that?
I used that elsewhere.
Oh, so strike it from that one.
So I'll strike it from this one.
Okay. So from ones I like, It's Complicated, which You Had Is Loved. Mm-hmm. I watched that.
Every chance you get.
Oh. If it's on, it's on.
It's like Shawshank. If it's on, you got to stop and watch it.
Again, just the trio.
Yeah.
Steve Martin's fantastic.
Yes.
Alec Baldwin cracks me up.
Yes.
John Krasinski's funny. I mean, love it.
The scene where the two of them get high is it's just great.
Yeah, it's all good. And my second one is Silkwood. That's it's such a classic, and it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid and I saw it. I don't think I fully understood, but man, the lights in the mirror as she's driving at night, and then she goes off the road, and then knowing it was a true story, and then
yikes,
fantastic movie.
Okay,
yeah, okay. Movies you hate or haven't seen but don't want to.
No, actually, again, reminder: movie or TV series I don't like or I hate. The Hours.
Okay.
Yeah, did not.
I really like that.
Did not like it at all.
I don't think I remember enough about it, but
okay.
I remember Julianne Moore's character I loved. I remember Virginia Woolf. I guess I don't remember her story as much.
See, I didn't really care for any of them, and the only one I sort of liked was Ed Harris's character because it was Ed Harris, and then he tips out the window and kills himself, and that was it for me. I was like, no, this is dumb. No, we're done.
Okay. Is that the only one?
Doubt gets an honorable mention.
Okay. So I wouldn't say hate. I didn't enjoy August Osage County. I loved the play, but for some reason the movie was, I don't know. It didn't have the same feel as the play for me.
Well, that's tough to do.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be the Fences.
And I also put on here Ricky and the Flash. I did not like that movie.
Yeah, I had no interest in seeing it.
Rick Springfield.
She's not the one I would, when you think about an old...
Right. And it wasn't so... It was
And she wasn't even a musician. She was just a groupie, right?
No, she was a musician.
Oh, okay.
But it was this. She was just a bad mom, and it's like, don't need that.
Huh.
Okay, movies you secretly love.
Bridges of Madison County.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's on mine as well.
Yeah.
That's. I mean,
I like
best scene ever.
I think that was the last movie I liked Clint Eastwood in.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that was the first movie I ever liked Clint Eastwood.
Well, see, as a kid, I saw Fistful of Dollars.
Right.
And,
see, I never liked any of those.
Josie Wales and all those. And he was kind of like that era's John Wayne.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like any of those. I think this was the first time I recognized him as anyone. I didn't like Dirty Harry. I didn't like any of that stuff.
I forgot about Dirty Harry.
Yeah. So for me, I think this was the first time where I was like, oh, he's hot, number one. And number two, he's romantic. And, I really liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she should have gotten out of the damn truck.
Yeah. That last scene, it's a killer.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I mean, she just, that sacrifice. Whatever.
I wish they would have made an alternate ending so we could see what would happen.
See it
Yeah.
and never play the other one again.
That's right.
Okay, what else? Was that the only one?
That's the only
secret?
one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've got Postcards from the Edge. Absolute classic.
Is that Deborah Winger?
No,
Or no, it's Barbara
Meryl
Hershey.
Streep.
No, who else was in it?
Oh, Shirley MacLaine is her mom.
Okay. I thought there was another person in there.
No, Dennis Quaid's in it.
Dennis Quaid is in the house.
Carrie Fisher wrote it, so it's very much
that's
about
right.
her life
with
Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah.
The whole narcissistic mother thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a very but it's great. I mean, I remember seeing it as a kid and just loving it.
And now it's very poignant.
So, and my third one on this category.
Holy smokes.
I know. Prayer Home Companion.
See, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen. I saw
Robert Altman's.
I know.
last movie?
I saw one little snippet.
Oh,
Where they're just finished their last show.
I guess now with the whole Garrison Keillor thing, it kind of ruins it.
And here's the thing: where I'm from, Garrison Keillor was a big thing. It was very popular.
I didn't know him or the show or anything till the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. My my first girlfriend, her mom would record every episode,
Really?
and then go over it with a notebook and note things down that she really liked.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and there were a lot of people who just loved it. I'm from northern Wisconsin, so the Midwest is kind of the wheelhouse for Garrison Keillor.
You'd love this movie then.
I probably would.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that he went through his thing, his time's up. And now it's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, but he's not the point of the movie. Her Meryl Streep and Lily Tomlin and oh my god, like everyone's in it because it's Robert Altman always just puts everyone in it, and it's so good. I think you'd really like it. Woody Harrelson, John C. Reilly, is that who Woody Harrelson's with? Like, yeah, it's really, you'll like it. Okay. We'll have to add that to it.
Okay.
Embarrassed you haven't seen?
Sophie's Choice. Yeah.
Meh.
I don't know anything about it, but I keep hearing about it. And it's on.
So you don't actually know what Sophie's Choice is?
So I heard an analogy a few weeks ago, and somebody said that's a real Sophie's Choice kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, in context, I kind of understood what it has to mean, but I've never seen it. No.
So you don't know the choice she has to make in the movie?
No idea.
So
don't.
What? You're gonna watch it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not. I've never seen it.
I can watch a movie without you.
I've seen. No, you won't. I've seen.
I could.
You could, but you won't.
I probably won't.
You won't even watch an episode of television without me.
But I could.
But I have seen the scene where she has to make the choice. But I won't. I guess I won't talk about what it was.
No, please don't.
So I have not seen Kramer versus Kramer.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
neither have I.
And I don't think I want to because I think it's too. I think that one's a too tough one to watch. So yeah.
Oh, I should probably ask a pointed question here. Why is that?
I just think from what I've heard, it is a very difficult movie to watch, and a couple breaking up and and going through all that trauma of the divorce and kids and all that. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe back then, because again, divorce wasn't such a prominent thing. It was a lot harder to get through.
Divorce was still in its infancy.
Yeah. I just don't think it's any sort of big deal and worth going back and watching.
Nowadays it's like meh.
And she did have that story about, I think, Dustin Hoffman, Yeah.
So, well, that's
again, Time's Up is maybe ruining a lot of classics for us. Not ruining it. Granted, it's good. It's all good, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I think let's move on.
Yes, adding to the watch list.
So I have Out of Africa here.
Hey, I put Out of Africa too.
We won't watch it.
No. Actually, I really did think about it because I had like those big ones, those 3 big ones, and I was like, I don't really care to see any of them except Out of Africa would be the only one I would sit and watch.
Yeah. So you said a movie earlier that I thought maybe I'm going to add that to my watch list
Silkwood?
too. Yes, that's it.
Yes,
Yes.
Silkwood you should watch.
Yes. Don't know a thing about it. Except
Really?
there are lights in a mirror.
Oh. Oh, yeah. You'd like it.
The only thing I know about the movie is what you said. Like 5
Really?
minutes ago. Yeah.
Interesting. Cher's in it. Plays her sister.
Oh.
That wasn't me. Wasn't me. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's Meryl Streep. I did have some honorable mentions as usual. Let's see. She-Devil, which, no, not that. Death Becomes Her. I do love Death Becomes Her. Her and Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis. Great. One True Thing, where she's the dying mom with Renee Zellweger. Prime. I really liked Prime with Uma Thurman. Mary Poppins, of course, now.
Yeah, but...
the last one, Florence Foster Jenkins, that she was just in, where she plays the
singer who can't sing?
Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I'm surprised you didn't name Into the Woods, because when we were talking about Anna Kendrick, that was one of your top movies.
Not a movie I love.
It was a movie you liked.
Movie I like. Let's be
Then
clear.
I tried to get him to watch like 2 days ago, and all of a sudden he was like, I want to watch this. I was like, you named this as one of your top movies.
What did you say? You said, I thought this was a movie you love. And I said, no, it's only a movie I like.
What's the difference?
Quite a bit, actually.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's going to be in the new season of Big Little Lies that comes in a couple months. So I'm very excited to see her in that.
Big Little Lies. Oh, Reese Witherspoon and...
Nicole Kidman. And
interesting.
Love the first season. Still unsure about the second, but Meryl Streep is playing, I think she's Reese Witherspoon's mom.
Shailene Woodley's in that too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Zoe
her.
Kravitz.
Sorry.
Laura Dern.
You said that like an exclamation, not a person's name.
Zoe
Kravitz.
Okay, we're done here.
Sorry, Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
So that's it, everyone. So we will be back in 2 weeks. We will have lots to talk about at that point, because there are actually a lot of shows ending in the next couple weeks. Yeah. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because John's got to work next weekend. So
yeah, I have a long stretch of work coming up again.
Yeah.
So sorry, people.
So that's it. Check out our website, watchingmystories.com. Check out our Etsy store. There's a link on there. And until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Me too. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.